Welcome to Fiona's Food for Life. I'm delighted today to bring you this live demo together with Peel. So following on from Liz Gale's podcast yesterday, Nutritional Therapist, she was talking in the podcast all about immunity and about how much of that immunity comes from our gut and how we need to look after our gut health. She also mentioned how we really need to be eating a huge variety of vegetables. So I thought in today's demo, I'm going to show you how to make some sauerkraut. So the sauerkraut will tick two of the boxes. You've got vegetables that will keep for a long time. You can never be stuck for vegetables again. And also a variety. So say, for example, you're making your meal and you've got your protein, and say you've got your broccoli and your carrots. Well, you can have some sauerkraut. That's another vegetable. We all benefit from the variety of vegetables. Also, it adds lots of flavor to things. At the end of the video today, I'm going to show you how to make 3 different dishes, plate up 3 different meals using sauerkraut. It's very easy to make, particularly at the moment when you're stuck at home and you have a bit of time. You don't need many ingredients, and you can make it from a whole pile of different ingredients. So what is sauerkraut? Sauerkraut is a fermented vegetable using lactic acid fermentation. So really all we're using is the vegetable and salt. And there's clear proportions for this. So you have, for every 500 grams of vegetables, you have 2 teaspoons of salt. Doesn't matter what veg you're using. So today, for example, I'm just using a plain red cabbage. You could use a plain white cabbage. Or with red cabbage, often grated apple is really nice in it. Sometimes with the white cabbage, I'll add in carrot and make a coleslaw. If you don't like cabbage, I've had a client before who doesn't like cabbage. So we've made hers with fennel and carrot and lots of things like that. I make a lovely sauerkraut, which is made with white cabbage, fennel, kale, pineapple, mint, goji berries, loads of really nice flavors going on. Then I make a more festive Christmas sauerkraut, which is with more spices and things, and that's really nice. So there's a load of different varieties that you can make. And if at any stage during this video you have any questions, I know everyone's on mute, but you can always pop it into the chat. And if I can, I'll answer it during the video. If not, I can respond later. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. So basically what you do is you want to start off with an organic vegetable. Okay, so when you're fermenting, it's going to amplify things. So you don't want to be working with vegetables that are covered in pesticides and things. So ideally you want to work with organic vegetables. And then you want to work with a salt. So you can either have an Irish sea salt or a pink Himalayan salt. So not a table salt, but a natural salt is what I would use. And then you can chop up your vegetable in whatever way you want. Traditionally, making a sauerkraut is a way of prolonging the life of the vegetables. So if you were growing vegetables now and you had a glut of cabbages or whatever, you might ferment them, turn them into sauerkraut, and then you have that lovely probiotic vegetable for months to come. So the first thing you're going to do is remove the outer leaf of your cabbage, and then you are going to thinly slice it. Now there's a number of different ways that you can do this. You can run it through a spiralizer, you can shred it up in your food processor, you can slice it on a mandolin, or you can use your knife. You don't need too much equipment, and there's a number of different ways that you can do it. So I just cut out the center. Oops. They can often be really useful at the end for when you're trying to hold your cabbage down underneath the liquid. And then we're just going to finally slice it. So I weighed this just beforehand, and I had about 350 grams of the cabbage. So I'm going to pop it into a bowl with, say, 1.5 teaspoons of the salt, because I don't quite have the 500 grams. If I was putting in apples or spices or anything like that, I would add them in at this stage, weigh it, and then add the salt for the total proportion of vegetables that I have. So we have our 1 and a bit. And then we are going to massage the salt into each of these leaves of the cabbage. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to do this. And there's all sorts of different vegetables. They say you can do it at Christmas time. I like to do sprouts. One of the things I would warn you about is, as I said, fermentation amplifies things. So if it's, say, something like garlic or ginger that you're going to, some of those immune boosting foods that Liz spoke about yesterday, if you're going to add those in, they will get a lot stronger. So say, for example, 1 clove of garlic in a whole container that size is tons. So just be careful with that. It will get a lot stronger. And one of the things that I do add garlic, chili, and ginger into is kimchi. It's a type of kraut, shall we say. It's a Korean cabbage. And I add lots of ginger, garlic, Korean chili, and they'll add a little bit of Irish seaweed and bragg liquid aminos into all of that. That's a really nice one that I have every morning with eggs for my breakfast. So what we're going to do is just keep massaging that for about 10 minutes. Ideally, you want to use a non-metal bowl, and then you leave it aside for about half an hour. So here we have one that I did earlier on. I kept the center. I said that might be useful afterwards. I have the outside leaf that I've given a quick rinse to. And here I have the cabbage that has been sitting there for 10 minutes. Now, I didn't add any water into that. All I did was massage and salt into the leaves for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I left it sit there for half an hour. Next, you're going to put it into your jar. And this can be really challenging to try and find a jar that is the correct size for the amount of sauerkraut that you have. We're going to be pushing it down really, really well. So this jar will probably fit, it will definitely fit this one, but it'll also fit the other one that I've just left for half an hour. So in half an hour, I will add it in. But to show you what you do is you add it all into there. Now you don't need to have a fancy kilner jar like this. This is actually a jar with a lid on it that I had, I think it was coconut oil was in that. Similar to this one, so you don't have to have a special jar. But basically you want to work with a glass jar and you want to pour everything in. If you use red cabbage mixed in with other cabbages, it'll all go purple, just to be aware of that. So then what you do is you get a bit of a workout and you push it all down. So you're using your hands, or you can use the end of a rolling pin, or you can use a muddler for cocktails, and you're going to push it all down until the liquid comes up above the cabbage. So you see there? So that takes a few minutes to push it all down. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get all of the air out of it, and then the cabbage will ferment. And if you ferment your sauerkraut properly, then that will provide an acidic environment so you won't have any harmful bacteria in there. So it is worth spending a few minutes pushing it all down. If, however, you get to the very end and there isn't quite enough liquid, you can just add a little bit of spring water to give it enough liquid. So now, obviously, this container at the moment is way too small, but I will be adding the other half in. So imagine we have filled up the container. You're looking for about a 2 centimeter gap at the top of your container. That's about all that you want. So you put in your top leaf and then you push that down. So the idea is that bit of the leaf is going to protect the rest of your kraut. So the liquid will come right above that top leaf. And if it were to catch undesirable bacteria, you can actually just remove that leaf in a couple of weeks' time or a couple of days' time and replace it with another one. So what you do is you push it down under the liquid. Now, obviously we're imagining it's full up to here. And then you want to hold it down underneath the liquid. There's a number of different things you can use to weigh it down. The idea is to keep it all underneath the liquid. You can use something like a little shot glass like that, or I have a little candle holder, or you can use basically the weight on this. So what you do is you have your container full to the top, you push it down, close your lid, and then you're going to leave it to ferment. Now, fermentation needs a warm environment. My utility room sits at about 23 degrees. That's ideal for me. Also, it wants to be away from direct sunlight, so you don't want to leave it on the windowsill. You will leave it then 4 days. It'll have its maximum probiotic count. Then you can leave it for longer to see how you like it. So if you like a really crunchy sauerkraut, it'll be ready. You can just put it in the fridge after the 4 days, and then it'll be ready to use. It'll keep in the fridge for 9 months or so, no problem. If you like a stronger, softer sauerkraut, which is the way I like it, I would leave it for a minimum of 10 to 14 days. The probiotic count isn't going to change, but the texture and flavor will change. Once you're happy with it, so basically you can lift the lid, put a fork in, taste it, see if you're happy with the flavor and the texture, then you pop it into the fridge and it'll keep then for about 9 months, no problem. And then you can use it whenever you like. So how are we going to use it? This one was the kimchi. I said I'll have that with my breakfast each day, and that's really nice. Also, at dinner time, you can take out a jar and just put it on the table. So whatever you are, whatever you're eating, so if you're eating fish or chicken or salads, whatever it is, you can add the sauerkraut on the table in a jar, and everyone can just help themselves with a fork. Ideally, you start slowly until your body is used to the sauerkraut. I know in my family, my son could eat half a jar, no problem. But in the beginning, you start off with about a tablespoon and you build it up slowly. So to give you one of the examples, at the moment, and I know Liz mentioned it in our podcast yesterday, we're talking about oily fish, really good source of omega-3, and people may be having tins of sardines or tins or jars of the Irish tuna in their cupboards, and then how to serve it. Okay, so I would take out some of the tuna or the sardines. I have a little bit of a coleslaw salad that I made here. I can, maybe I'll pop on some hummus that I made. Then I could do, I have some pomegranate seeds. Just throw a few of those on for a bit of color. Then on this one, maybe I'll put my plain kraut. So this kraut here was made with a sweetheart cabbage. So it was an organic Irish sweetheart cabbage that I made. And then I would pop that onto the plate. It's going to come off the fork. And there we go. That's just a sample of one dish that you might do. So you have tuna in the cupboard, you cut up the coleslaw, you would put your sauerkraut and then maybe some hummus and things on top. And if you want, I have some flaxseed crackers that I made as well. Another way you can do it. So this morning I made some sweet corn fritters. So this reminds me of my time in Australia when we used to go camping, and I would bring a tin of sweet corn and a tin of creamed sweet corn, mix them together with eggs and flour, and we had sweet corn fritters that we would make on the campfire. Really, really delicious. So in this instance, I had a bag of frozen sweet corn in the freezer. It was 450 grams. Then I added in 4 eggs. I took half of it into the food processor, added in the 4 eggs. The other half was left whole. And then I mixed it with a little bit of pepper and salt, red onion, and then I put in about 2 large tablespoons of about 50 grams of flour. I use spelt flour. You could use whatever flour you like. And then I fried them off. So you can have this hot or cold. Then I just had a salad with tomatoes and cucumber, and then maybe we'll have some avocado with that. And then we will top on maybe some red cabbage kraut. So this one is just made purely with red cabbage, just like the one I've just demonstrated. And the kids love the fritters. And then if you wanted maybe some of the crackers as well. So that's a second idea that you can make while you're stuck in the kitchen with the eggs that you might have, a bit of flour you'd have, and then the frozen sweet corn or even the tin sweet corn. The third one is if you were to have a toasted sandwich. So basically I cooked some ham yesterday in the slow cooker, and then we can have it for a few days, for the next few days. And I know it's a really good quality, nice ham rather than, you know, packaged ham. I've made a toasted sourdough sandwich here. There's a video on my channel how to make the sourdough, and I just popped it in the sandwich maker, and I'm going to serve that with some plain crèche. Now this plain crèche is a white cabbage crèche. The first one was a sweetheart cabbage, and then I would just serve that on the side. So that's 3 different examples of how you might put sauerkraut into different meals, and also at this time when you're stuck at home and trying to have a look at those. So if you would like, following on from Liz's podcast, and people have asked me maybe if you like it, I could do another demo next week, and that time I might include some of the things like the garlic and the ginger and the oregano, different herbs and things, and maybe using jars of beans, etc., that you can use at this stage to make a nice nutritious meal that's going to build up your immunity. And don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for lots of other fermented foods. I think we have a question there.
Can you use any other vegetables than cabbage?
Yes, definitely. So you can. I would use Brussels sprouts at Christmas time. It's actually a really nice sauerkraut to make. I had a client once who didn't like cabbage at all. So with hers, we did fennel and carrot. I think we even did celeriac. So you really can do loads of different vegetables. I have also on the recipe, which we'll post on the website, that if you wanted to do something like small cucumbers or small tomatoes, something like that, but you're not going to be rubbing the salt into the skin, you can actually make a 2% brine solution. And so that's basically salt and water, and you would put those vegetables into the solution and you'll make the same type of sauerkraut that we have done here. So I think that's it for today. If you have any other questions that come up, I can answer them, no problem. But don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Fiona's Food for Life, Cook, Eat, Nourish. And I have loads of different recipes for snacks and quick meals and fermented foods, etc. And I think we have another question there.
Can you use dried fruit?
Dried fruits?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Yes, you can add them in to add the nutrient value to increase those minerals. So definitely, I know I add the goji berries into some things. I know with the spoonful botanical, you would add those in. So yes, you can definitely add them into it. Another question?
How long do they keep for?
So they keep for about 9 months in the fridge. I've even used mine beyond that, but the guideline I've given you is 9 months. So it usually takes about 10 to 14 days to ferment in a warm, dark place. And after that, once it's ready, you pop it into the fridge, and then it can keep in the fridge for that 9 months. Ideally, once it's opened, 3-4 months is the time that you would end up using it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you stay safe and follow the hashtag quarantine cuisine. Each day I'm posting all of the different things that I'm cooking, but hopefully I can inspire you. So thanks for watching. See you soon.